Well, it was at least a better watch than Mandalorian and Grogu. Almost 25 years after the Wayans brothers lost the Scary Movie franchise, they're back, reunited with the original cast, and set out to return to form and deliver a scary movie where there are no safe spaces. With everyone back, surely it'll be on the same level as the original, or at least Scary Movie 2, right? Right? I went into this pretty worried it would be a hard watch. For me, nothing is harder to sit through than an unfunny comedy. Horror is by far my favorite genre, so naturally I'm super excited to see spoofs on some of these newer classics we've gotten over the years. And of course, I'm a huge fan of the original Scary Movie. But this movie, there were definitely things I enjoyed, very far and very few between, and I already know what people are gonna say. It's Scary Movie, it's not supposed to be good. No, shut up. Scary Movie, get this, can be good. We've seen what it looks like, and it has been a classic for 25 years. Parody movies can still work. We just got Naked Gun last year, which was funnier and more cohesive than this. I liked how they used Scream 5 as the base for the movie. With the whole idea of reboot sequels, it's the perfect example since the first Scary Movie is based on Scream. Of course, there's a lot of references thrown in there, from Sinners, The Substance, Terrifier, so many more, some not even being horror. But the references and little scenes recreating these iconic moments, they never really feel woven into the story. And I'm not asking for a crazy narrative with Scary Movie of all things, but the first two were still able to have at least a through line of a story that leads them to these jokes. It feels like they're playing catch up and want to squeeze in as many as possible, so it just ends up feeling like a series of SNL skits. Surprisingly though, I think the best and funniest references made weren't even the things it was parodying. It was the Scary Movie franchise itself. This one is probably the most self-referential, with characters completely aware of the franchise, poking fun at the three without the Wayans, the audience, the actors that came back for those movies, and the whole idea of reboot sequels and this being one of those movies. It completely rejects the idea of reboot sequels, where new characters come in to replace the legacy ones and take over the franchise, and has a really clever twist ending that brings that idea home with probably the best joke of the movie. The Wayans clearly think the best part of these movies are the main characters, and they're completely right. The movie is always at its best when Anna Faris, Regina Hall, Sean and Marlon Wayans are all on screen, but I hate to say it, even with the original cast and all these new movies to spoof, the movie is just not that funny. The opening, like 10 to 20 minutes, and the very ending are solid. The opening even had me thinking it wasn't gonna be as bad as I was expecting. But somewhere early in the movie, it just becomes incredibly repetitive. For every joke that lands, there's 10 that don't. And I know, I get it. Humor is subjective. People will laugh at some things that other people won't. Maybe I just have no sense of humor and this movie's actually hilarious, right? But I was in a completely packed out theater, and the jokes that didn't land just had the room awkwardly silent. Kai Cenat being on screen sucked the life out of my theater, and honestly, that shared reaction and groans from everyone was funnier than some of the jokes in the movie. They want to lean into this edgy, how are we getting away with this level of humor, because the jokes that the older ones got away with aged the way they did, but the jokes in their older movies weren't funny because they were trying to be edgy and stir the pot. They were funny because of how absurd they were and how well the actors delivered them. It feels more desperate to be edgy than anything else, which is a goal, I guess. But the thing is, the jokes that are being made aren't nearly as edgy as they think they are. The jokes range from dick and balls, poop and pee, haha, weed funny humor, to at its most controversial, just feeling like a politically charged Facebook meme. It feels very, for lack of better terms, unk humor. Some punchlines are just throwing buzzwords out with no setup whatsoever just to get that shock value, but I don't really think it ever does. The train scene in particular, painfully unfunny. That bit from the trailer we've already seen, wasn't great as it was, but I didn't think it could go more downhill. The movie also feels very dated. Not as if it will age poorly with years to come or anything, like the jokes they're making while they were filming this were already dated. Come on, man. Kendrick and Drake beef in the Big 2-6? World Star? Some of these references it uses for the jokes feel less modern and more, how do you do, fellow kids? Like, oh wow, Shorty, you're playing Dead by Daylight. That's totally relevant and at the peak of its popularity. If bro knew Dead by Daylight, he'd spend some of those blood points. If the movie isn't as funny as it wants to be, or as edgy as they're trying to be, then what even is it? Scary Movie tries to recapture the magic of the original, desperately throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, but in that process, it loses sight of what worked with the original. There's a few solid laughs here and there, and the horror spoofs are fine. I had fun with this movie, but I walked out not sure if I'd ever revisit this franchise if there's any more inevitable sequels. I'd give Scary Movie a light 2 out of 5 stars. It's kind of crazy that I laughed more, both in Obsession and Masters of the Universe. If you saw Scary Movie, drop your thoughts in the comments. As always, thank you for watching all the way if you're still here. Drop a like and subscribe if you want to support the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.